please come to order. There's a quorum present. All the members are present today. Our legal notices have been duly posted. The court is duly called. Motion to open court. All those in favor? Aye. Bailiff, please open the court.
All rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the December 2012 term. The Honorable Judge Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Judge, colleagues, members of the audience. Our guest today is Dr. Josue Elorreaga, Senior Pastor of Dallas Christian Center and President and Founder of Joshua Ministers International in Dallas, Texas. He is the Senior Pastor of the Dallas Christian Center in Dallas. He is also the President and Founder of Joshua Ministries. He graduated from the American Bible Institute of El Paso in 1971 with a Diploma of Christian Ministries. He graduated from Southern Assemblies of God University with a Bachelor's in Christian Ministry in 1976 and received a Master of Theological Studies and a Doctor of Ministry degree from Logos Graduate School in Jacksonville, Florida. He received a Master of Christian Ministry and a Master of Divinity degree from Criswell College in Dallas, Texas in 1996. He has written 12 books. He's a pastor, an educator, and a conference speaker. He and his wife Elizabeth have been married for 43 years and made their home in Grand Prairie, Texas. They have 3 children, Kimberly, Karen, and Carrie, and 7 grandchildren, Chris, Natalie, Stephanie, Katie, Timothy, Abigail, and Sarah. Doctor, would you please come forward and bless our meeting? Thank you.
I'm honored to be invited to the invocation, and I will. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to your presence and ask your blessing today, and we are aware that we depend on you. We're also aware that no authority has been given by you, Lord, and we depend on you. And this morning, we come and I pray that you will bless every county commissioner of the County of Dallas. We know that there will be participants, and we pray, Father, that there will be harmony, understanding, and we pray that you will impart upon the county commissioners a spirit of wisdom to prepare and implement plans for our county, wisdom to take the right decisions and help them to be in agreement in times of disagreement, and that will not interfere in your personal relationships. I pray, Father, that you will give respect and an ethical attitude of the participants. Also, I pray that today harmony will prevail in these sessions. I pray for this time also of holidays, that Christmas is around, and we pray for the happiness and joy and blessing upon every county commissioner, our county judge, and every participant present in this session. I pray also that every accomplishment, agreement that will be reached today will bring glory to your name. And I pray finally that today that goodness and mercy shall follow every person here, our county commissioners and our county judge, from this day forward, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
That's just great to have an SAGU graduate. All right. Our next item is resolutions, and we have one resolution this morning, and I will move for its adoption. Second. And the resolution is a resolution honoring Congressman Jack Brooks, who passed away. And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas Representative Jack Bascom Brooks was born in Crowley, Louisiana on December 18, 1902, moved to Beaumont, Texas with his family at the age of 5. And whereas Representative Brooks graduated from the University of Texas with a degree in journalism, and after college served with the United States Marine Corps. Continued his service in the Marine Corps until 1972, achieving the rank of colonel. Whereas at the age of 23, Representative Brooks was first elected to the Texas House of Representatives. During his term, he was a law degree at the University of Texas. Whereas in 1953, 3 has been elected to his first term in the United States Congress as the youngest member of the freshman class. Representative Brooks went on to serve 21 consecutive terms in Congress and served as chairman of the Judiciary Committee and Government Operations Committee during his tenure. Whereas Representative Brooks will always be a part of Dallas history since he was a member of President John F. Kennedy's motorcade when he stood with his wife, Lyndon B. Johnson, was sworn into the presidency of Dallas Law Trio. Whereas Representative Brooks was a strong advocate for civil rights, he held right to civil rights Act 4, sponsored the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Now therefore be resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby offers deepest condolences to the family and friends of Representative Jack Bascom Brooks, who does celebrate his life and lasting impact of his work with the groundbreaking legislation he sponsored today. And I have moved and seconded. All those, or it's been seconded by Commissioner Price. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next, we have our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? So moved. Second. All those in favor? We'll now consider court orders 9 through 37, filling 29, 33, and 30. 29, 33, and 34. But I will move the orders 9 through 37. Second.
And I second.
I think Commissioner Cantrell may have beaten you to the punch on that. Either one, we got 2 seconds.
Let me say, pulling 29, 33, and 34.
Yes. Is there any discussion on any of those before we take a vote?
Yes, and we have some speakers on.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I would like.
Let's start. Shall we take the speakers first?
Yes.
Will the bailiff please read the rules of decorum for our speakers?
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the revisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to reserve order of decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and their registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalty provided in the State of Texas Penal Code Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
All right. And our first speaker on the topic today is animal cruelty.
William Hopkins.
William Hopkins, all right.
He's not here. You forgot about him.
I'll call you in your church. We call his name a couple times for our rules. William Hopkins, William Hopkins. And if Mr. Hopkins comes in, if anyone
William Hopkins is dead.
knows him, just sing him all out. For a lot of us. Our next speaker on that topic is Miss Andrea Allen.
My name is Andrea Allen. I live at 6414 Tacoma in Dallas. And I'm here to support District Attorney Watkins' proposal for animal cruelty. First, I would like to thank all of you for considering this proposal, especially Alba Garcia for her leadership and Melanie Dickey for her generosity in getting it started. I have worked with many different animal shelters and animal welfare organizations for longer than I would care to say. I have served as Vice President of Operation Kindness. I served 4 terms over 8 years on the Dallas Animal Shelter Commission. It was my very great honor to serve representing Leo Cheney, District 7. And that was from 1997 to 2005. Including a term as chairman. And those are some very, very difficult years. But there were 2 developments that really did make a difference. One of those was when Dr. Garcia was elected to the City Council because she did realize that animal services was a core service that needed to be correctly funded, and we will always appreciate her for that. And the other was when Craig Watkins was elected district attorney, because he realized that these crimes needed to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And so I would urge you now to follow his advice and get this proposal done and realize that he knows what he's talking about when he says that this is sort of a specialty that needs individual attention. I don't want to belabor the points that were made last week. I think everybody understands that there is a very well-proven link between animal cruelty and other crimes, other felonies. I just want to remind you that the $200,000 in funding will be heavily raised, and that other counties are leading the way, Harris County, Los Angeles County, because it is the correct thing to do. It is the best thing to do. So I just want to urge you to take the next step, follow in their footsteps. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your attention.
And our next speaker on this issue is Ms. Mary Spencer.
Can you hear me? Thank you. My name is Mary Spencer, and I live at 6943 Wild Grove Avenue in East Dallas, Lakewood, my gorgeous White Rock Lake in District 9. And I currently represent Mayor Rawlings on the Animal Shelter Commission, where I serve as chair since last year. Before that, I represented Mayor Leopard and have been on the commission for 5 years. As chair of the Animal Shelter Commission, I speak on behalf of myself and the other 14 commission members, who each represent a different city council district. Some districts have little crime, while others are a nucleus of terrible violence happening every day, much of which happens to animals. Every 2 months, when the Animal Shelter Commission meets as an advisory commission for the animals, we receive reports of animal crimes and the status of these crimes, these cases. Sadly, we sit there, meeting after meeting, feeling as if our hands are tied. In most cases, the same names of these animal abusers come up time and time again. We know that most of these cases, the perpetrators will receive a menial sentence, if any sentence at all, and many of these abusers will move on to the next victims, often a two-legged creature rather than a four-legged one. Along with my position as chair of the Animal Shelter Commission, I am also a 20-year board member and former chair for the board of the SPCA in Texas, which pursues cruelty cases all over North Texas. The investigators at Dallas Animal Services and the SPCA can put a great case together, but they need a strong partner in the DA's office. Fortunately, we've got that great partner in the DA's office now, and we firmly believe that this new unit would greatly magnify everyone's efforts. Animal cruelty is a problem in Dallas County, at a time when our entire society is changes the ways that we view animals. Most people today feel that pets are part of our family, and we want them to have the same protection as our other family members. Dallas Animal Services can write all the tickets and the violation notices they want, but they need an enforcement unit that understands what it takes to prosecute these violations. This unit will bring the necessary experience, connections, and community support to make animal crimes a priority. 2 of our current commission members are graduates of the Citizens Prosecutor Academy, making them and the rest of the commission more determined than ever to make sure the budget for the DA's office is increased to continue to provide excellent service to the citizens of this county. Violence does not end with ignoring the problem of the abuse and the cruelty to those who have no voice other than a bark or a meow. Thank you.
All right, question has been called. Yes.
Comment, Commissioner Garcia, that I have a,
Go ahead, Commissioner Miguel.
we looked last week to see what our donations have been.
And I have it right here.
Good.
Commissioner, according to Safer Dallas, Better Dallas Senior Manuals, We have raised $11,630. We have pledges of $2,500. A total raise with Commissioner Dickey's donation is $54,130. We need additional $145,807. Now, the exciting news is, most of the contributions have been small, 32%, 32 contributors, the majority were under $25 and under. So people are excited, they're going to the website, and we have raised over $1,610 through the website. So for everybody in the audience and, everybody watching in the media, the challenge is still going. We need to raise $145,870. I think it's doable if when in 1 week we have more than 10. So I'm excited, like most of the speakers, and thank you so much, Ms. Allen, Mrs. Spencer, for being here. This is first in Dallas County, and it couldn't happen without the help of many people. Of course, the District Attorney's Office, Mr. Watkins, Mr. Alex, Safer Dallas, Better Dallas, Mr. Griffith, Mr. Charlie Terrell, Jack Hammond, and all the board of directors that really, are ready to step up to the plate and make this a reality. When you are, doing the first, it's always an historic day. So I am delighted, to, working with my colleagues in this effort and this endeavor. And I really believe that when we continue to have over 2,841 reports of abuse annually, just in Dallas, we will be able, colleagues, to see what's going on in Dallas County and have a better time when it comes to animal rights and animal livelihoods. So with that being said, the challenge continues and we're up to it.
And Commissioner Garcia, that website to donate is saferdallas.com.
www.saferdallas.com. And no donation is too big, no donation is too small. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also had a Commissioner President, do allow me, we also pull agenda number 29, is the GMC management system. Ms. Brown, for the record, can you just a brief comment on why this is being pulled?
We briefed the court on this issue last week, and we let you know we were still working through this issue with the escrow agreement. We received final word that the government accepted that those changes to the escrow agreement late yesterday, and we're still in the process of getting some signatures on documents, and we wanted to make sure that what was presented to the court was a complete package, and that we weren't making changes at the last minute for you all to review. So everything that is still being changed are minor wording changes that do not impact the business deal, do not impact technology, and will not impact the start schedule for the project.
And that's great news. I know our Justice of the Peace have been waiting for this.
So
And
you will see this on the 18th as a complete package with absolutely no changes.
thank you. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, folks.
Any other comments? Questions? Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move on to our next item, our meetings. Before we do, Commissioner Price does some cool things here, and I feel moved to recognize him for that. Last week, we had Ms. Clark Johnson, Mayor Clark Johnson. I see our mayor, so our regular mayor, so we'll call him there. But one of the things that he does is he frames up really nicely resolutions for special occasions. Sometimes it's funerals. In this case, it's a special day for a special young lady. And he's got that up here today. I don't know if you're going to give it to the mayor, but I wanted to recognize you for doing that, because I've noticed, I can't remember how many times for every special day you've done that. So thanks for doing that. All right, moving on to our briefing session, which consists of items to be considered for a subsequent session. Mr. Martin, will you walk us through our briefing session, please?
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Item 1 on your briefing agenda, Health and Human Services recommends approval approval of service agreement with Mark M. Johnson, PhD, for the provision of insecticide resistance monitoring.
Can I ask just, Mr. Thompson, can you elaborate on the insecticide resistant monitoring, please? Thank you. It's part of our.
Part of that, that's.
Yes, thank you.
Real quick, we're passing out the Northeast Quadrant where we talked about it enough, but I wanted to make sure we bring in perspective here. The request that you have before you is part of the World Health Organization looks at resistance testing as part of any mosquito control program. And so one of the things we wanted to do going forward and been brought before our Public Health Advisory Committee on numerous times is to begin to look at mosquito resistance in this area. So this has been a discussion pre-2012, so I want to make sure that's clear. So some people may run with stuff. Of course, the new people run with a lot of stuff that's wrong, but the bottom line on it is that this discussion has been ongoing about mosquito resistance as part of our cities. And so Dallas County Health and Human Services is seeking a contract where before you we talk about 2 traps that we will send to Dr. Johnson to review, but we're looking at 26 traps that we will be submitting, and that would encompass all of our cities. And one of the areas before you is that map is that Northeast Quadrant. One of the things that everybody looks like an expert in December, but the issue of mosquito control is now on the ground planted forward.
It's called number 1 quadrant.
Right, well, that's always been my theory. So one of the things that we're looking at is we want to focus on getting the mosquito eggs to Dr. Johnson. He will look at any resistance. While we don't think there may be any resistance, we don't know, he's going to make that call. The biggest thing that we want to get from this is our application rate for spring. I think that's one of the takeaways that we want to get from this aspect, is that during the height of West Nile season, we were using a maximum rate, and that was because of the outbreak. We normally start out with a lower rate in the beginning of the season. This will help tell us what rate that we need to utilize so we're not just overusing insecticide. And so one of the things that we want to do is to be able to monitor this. So that's the takeaway on it. We're not going to ask the cities, I want to be clear on this, since everybody wants to make us to be the guru for West Nile virus, we got to take the charge on this. So we'll take that hit on that in terms of going ahead and doing the testing, providing the results to our municipalities. And so we wanted to make sure that they have enough information going forward. The biggest thing, that map before you, I don't care what any report that may come out, until we really know the environmental factors that really contributed to that Northeast Quadrant being hit so hard, any report is not going to be sufficient. And so that's why we want to do the resistance testing in that area.
Mr. Thompson, as you said, we've talked about this in the Public Health Advisory Committee, but we've also talked about this, while we're talking about this, we have had some concerns that have been voiced over the last several years with regard to individual homeowners and their application on a time-released basis of similar insecticide into the environment, thereby creating some resistance. And that has been brought up numerous times, and we voiced that concern.
Right. So based on that concern, we're bringing it forward as the appropriate time to begin to look at it. We think it's the best practice to do in terms of being prepared going into 2013. So the cities, I want to be clear, that's been brought before our Public Health Advisory Committee. Our subcommittee made up of cities are in agreement with this. We will make this available, at least 26 samples. Starting, you've seen your document too, when we bring forth the court order. It does say in there additional samples. And so I'm just letting you know that we're looking at 26 samples that we will send in April. Now the season could change as we just experienced 2 nights of freezing weather. before that, which felt like August. So the point is, we don't know, we may start this early March, depending on the season, but it's all weather permitting. Normally, we would start this in April, send him a sample he will let us know the application rate we should be utilizing going into the West Nile season. This is going to be very beneficial for our municipalities. And I will say the last point is I'm very concerned with the fact of what was actually done in that northeast portion. I'm making no bones about that. We need to really look at that. When you look at over 59% of your cases were in that area. There's something missing in the equation that I'll just say publicly, and so we'll look at that with our city.
Well, Mr. Thompson, I just want to commend you for, implementing this $1,250, I think will be well spent. Because we can, and as we hear, and we read before, we might kill a mosquito, but if the larva, is resistant and still there, we can pesticide again the whole county, and we will just have.
This is money well spent. I think it may cut down on some of the money on it, what they.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Zach, I want to ask you one thing. Do you think that statistics tell us what, and they often don't tell us why? Do you think we can ever ascertain what caused the preponderance of it in one particular area?
I think one of the reports that will be coming out, I'm sure, again, everyone's going to have a fast and furious report, I'm sure, coming from some national perspective. One of the things that we're asking, and the cities have asked, is that the only way we're going to really know what happened is to really do an environmental assessment in these areas. It's not enough to say whether you do trapping, ground spraying, or area spraying until you actually get into this environment and walk in some of these areas to look at where these mosquitoes are breeding, what's contributing to that. If any report doesn't do that, it's not a report that's going to be useful. We already know to spray, to educate, but at the end of the day, that northeast quadrant, when we look at that area, we see a number of foreclosed areas, houses, highways, abandoned swimming pools that have been contributing, that we all have got complaints about. And then what are the creeks elements in those areas? Who's testing in those areas to make sure that we're able to get down into the trenches of that northeast quadrant? I'll give you an example. Rowlett had a high number of cases in Rowlett. But that northeast quadrant, as you go from Howard Park, University Park, all the way up to 635 and into Rowlett, you see a significant, as you see in that map, you see a significant number of human cases, over 59% of the cases. So here's the deal, if you subtracted those cases or those areas from the map, we would not have the outbreak.
Well, but Mr. Thompson, and I don't expect staff to say this, but we have a vector plan that we've always had, mosquito vector plan that we've always had. And whether or not all participating agents were in compliance with that program, I don't expect staff to say that, but that is part of the equation that is missing. Did in fact they treat when they were supposed to treat? And that is still part of the issue. And so again,
we'll move forward with that. I think one of the things that I'll own is that we did allow cities to make certain decisions on things. Our posture going forward has to be, in terms of this particular item that we're discussing today, is that we're taking the lead on doing resistance testing. We'll provide the results to the city, to the various cities in the area, and that will help us in terms of our application rate, in terms of setting the application rate for doing our spraying in the beginning of the West Nile season.
Zach, I want to commend you on this as well. What we have seen nationally is when there's a lot of spraying, I'm not aware of any peer-reviewed journals yet as regard to the pyrethrin spray units in yards. It doesn't mean it's not happening. It's something we need to look at. So this is good that we're looking at. But what we have seen nationally in peer-reviewed scientific articles is areas that spray every year from the year, and specifically one area that we look at as a model for mosquito control is Yolo County. Yolo County sprayed every year for 6 or 7 years from the air, and their mosquitoes began to get a resistance to pyrethrin. And so there had to be a phosphate added to the spray. So by doing this, we're allowed to better track what is the most effective spray to use and in what quantities. I do want us to remain focused, though. This is not about any particular media reports, and all of these reports from the CDC and our state partners are helpful in putting together a complete picture of what happened, and we're all working together and collaborating together. And I'm anxious to work with our federal and state partners, get their reports. I think there is a good faith discussion about what is an outbreak. My argument would be on if you got rid of this and you just took South Dallas County below 30, you would have what I consider to be an outbreak. You would have death and human suffering in Duncanville and DeSoto and Seagoville and Cedar Hill. And if you just took the southern part of our county, it pales in comparison to the suffering in the northern part of our county. But there were ample cases and suffering there, and it illustrates the importance of the work that you're doing now and the cities are doing now, because this is a problem that's going to be with us. It may have something to do with curb and gutters. It may have something to do with those systems we're talking about, these pyrethrin systems, or the fact that people have the automatic sprinklers. It could be a host of factors, but what we know since 1999 is the West Nile virus has been with us. And I know Mayor Sherman visited one of his constituents in the hospital. And
But Judge, I can't let you hijack it based on that. We've got open drainage. I mean, when you look at Norfolk South, we got a lot of open drainage as part of our as part of our design in regards to our thoroughfares, and probably a lot more. We have not had those issues. You had some, here and there, but again, whether it's DeSoto or whether it's Duncanville, has everyone been complicit with the vector control plan in terms of their spraying? As Mr. Thompson said, we talked about pyrethrin. I'm not worried about those misters in southern Dallas. They were happening as long ago as 4 years ago in North Dallas. We were getting that from people who were members of our community. They were coming out complaining that they were trying to manage those individuals with regards to the struggle.
And those are all things we need to look at. But I don't want to hijack anything. But I don't want to politicize this into certain neighborhoods or certain areas are the cause of West Nile. West Nile wasn't caused by the county or the cities. West Nile we have West Nile. It's like we have tuberculosis, and we have other things that we have to manage. But I don't want us to lose sight and have our citizens in southern Dallas County believe that there's not a real threat of West Nile, because we know, you and I know, real people who are still suffering and still getting over a very serious strain of West Nile. And there was a death in Seagoville, and there was a death in the Duncanville area, right at the border of Cedar Hill, and there were people that were hospitalized there as well. So it's a holistic, countywide problem that did localize, or did have its epicenter in the northeast quadrant, and it's perfectly appropriate what we're doing to focus on the testing there. But this is a countywide, regional problem that we've got to remain vigilant.
Judge, this is a scientific discussion, which I know will have a scientific conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Let's not perpetuate this discussion to polarize this community.
Yeah.
I think your point is well taken.
All right. Any other comments on that?
What's that?
2, Juvenile Department 2A recommends extension of the contract with Positive Steps in the Knowles Place of Texas until November 7, 2012 and February 28, 2013 respectively. Item 2B recommends approval of the Youth Service Advisory Board's allocation of juror funds for fiscal year 2013. Item 2C recommends extension of the contract of youth conversion until December 31st, 2012. And item 2D recommends approval of Amendment 12 of the Resolution to State Financial Assistance Contract 2012-2013 biennium with the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Item 3, Tax Assessor Collector recommends approval of the contract with Kroger Texas LP for the provision of motor vehicle registrations to the public. Item 4, County Treasurer, that quarter's on the formal agenda. Item 5, Public Works recommends approval of Amendment 1 to the funding agreement with the City of Dallas for the North Haven Trail Phase 2 MCIP. Item 5B recommends approval of the project-specific agreement to the master agreement governing the MCIP for the STEP project safety at Trail Road crossing in the City of Dallas. And item 5C recommends approval of funding agreement with the City of Richardson for the implementation of Spring Valley Road MCIP. And 5D, that quarter was on the formal agenda. Item 6, Purchasing recommends proceeding with solicitation advertising for RFP for real estate brokerage services. Item 7, IT. 7A, Equitable Zoning Formal Agenda. 7B, recommends approval of the county's participation in the TechShare Court Software Development Project and approve the allocation of funds for the project. Item 7C, recommends approval of resources for the utilization of New Horizons as an IT curriculum training provider. And item 7D, recommends approval of the ACMS prosecutor module, implementation project cost model, and the allocation of funds as outlined in your briefing. Item 8, Budget. 8A, that conference travel training requests. Item 8B, recommends approval of the addition of 1 part-time bail bond investigator deputy 1. And item 9, Parkland. 9A, recommends approval of the revisions of Dallas County Code Chapter 78 to codify the sealed bid limit requirements. And item 9B, approval of assignment of certain property to nonprofit corporation PCCI. Parkland Health and Hospital System established PCCI as a Texas nonprofit corporation to develop resources including software for healthcare services and provide ancillary support services for Parkland. Parkland is the sole beneficiary of PCCI. Upon receipt of an independent fairness option, Parkland is requesting that the court approve the transfer of intellectual property to PCCI in accordance with the terms of the technology assignment agreement and the management and healthcare analysis services agreement. And Parkland is here. Jay Balfour, I believe Mr. Roth just came in also. They are here to answer any questions you have.
Two things. First of all, I'll get back. Well, I'll deal with this part-time. Did I see Dale Thompson? I saw the sheriff. It's Thompson. I just really want to make sure that D gonna work in budget on that part-time deal, because I got a real problem with that.
No, Commissioner, will not work.
Okay. And so I don't understand why I want to pull it down until we talk about it, because that just can't. Based on what I've seen over the last 5 or 6 years, I cannot see that work as a part-time individual. Based on what, right now, he has been charged with. We need somebody full-time to work with us, and especially in light of the new unit that CJAP is funded with the district attorney. We need to make sure all of those bases are covered. So I don't support that part-time bond investigator. We need a full-time person. So I want you to rework that.
We'll look at that.
Okay. Number 2, I saw Mr. Roth and Ruben and all of you. Y'all want to come down if you would. But I just want to say that, to you, first of all, thank you. We talked about this several months ago, and to the Parkland Board of Managers and all. We were briefed about this probably about 4 or 5 months ago, back up in April, I think it was. And since that time, we continue to focus and be very vigilant in this whole design. I just want to thank you on behalf of constituents of this county. Parkland does not get oftentimes the credit it deserves. And this not only puts a real benefit and value in terms of the constituency that you're designed to serve, but also kind of puts you on the radar screen nationally. And so I just want to say thank you. I think it's been very well thought out. I appreciate being part of the second briefing. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your commitment, both of them, because, you know, one of the things we recognize is that after reviewing all of this, that you've had opportunities probably to do some other things, but you have a commitment to Dallas, and because you have a commitment to Dallas County, there apparently is you're a magnet and an attraction for other like talents to come to this community, which again, our constituents will be the big beneficiary of this. And so, Doctor, I want to thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Well thought out, and they're a great product.
Mr. Price, thank you so much. I'm honored to serve Dallas County, serve Parkland, and we're very excited about the work we're doing. I think it will have a tremendous impact for the betterment of care all over Dallas County for both issues, and that the innovations we develop here can spread nationally.
Okay. Oh, yes, look.
I just want to say to the people that are in the audience that, you know, this gentleman came up and it seems to be very insignificant. But what really, and I apologize, I don't remember your last name, but Dr. You know, you're seeing something really historical that's taking place here in this courtroom today, because this young man has taken and built an app that sits on top of electronic medical records that will be utilized across this country, maybe across the world, in my opinion, that will change the outcomes of delivery of services and the medical outcomes that will affect so many people and so many processes in different hospitals across this country. It's going to be unbelievable. And you know, it's you're witnessing history, and most of us, we don't realize it. So I want to say thank you. It's truly a revolutionary idea that you've come up with, and I think in 10 to 20 years with what you've started and where you're going to end up, it's going to be just mind-blowing for the medical community, and congratulations, and I am so impressed with what you've done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we're the beneficiaries of it.
We are.
So unselfish. I mean, Parkland Hospital and the people that come into Parkland and the overall system will be the beneficiaries.
And it's been so well thought out is that, you know, our constituents, you know, Parkland will get payback and benefit for years to come. And so.
It's mind-boggling, you know, just to see what you've done. Thank you.
More importantly, if they work the way we expect it to work, it will be a revolutionary way of actually treating patients in a more effective way.
Let me just tell you, it's been vetted by the highest foundations already in this country.
Well, definitely in support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
I'll say this, if I need to read it, or you can. I've got when we discuss things via email. Do you want me to lay that out, or shall you do that?
Sure.
Okay. Just very briefly, because we'll bring this back for a vote shortly. This software was being developed by the Parkland Center for Clinical Innovation, and it takes data from the electronic medical records in real time and notifies clinical personnel about which patients need special attention. The software has already improved patient care at Parkland by reducing readmissions for heart failure. The center is starting to apply it to many more conditions to improve clinical outcomes. This will improve Parkland's patient safety and quality even further. Transferring the intellectual property into the Parkland Center for Clinical Innovation will allow the center to focus its attentions on its core business, which is software development, and allow Parkland to focus on its core business, which is patient care. Transferring the IP will allow the center to access more funds from non-traditional sources and not from taxpayers, as well as from strategic partnerships to pay for the research and development. Since the software is valuable and can be licensed to other healthcare systems, the center will be able to generate even more revenue for Parkland through royalties and distribution. And on a personal note, Ruben, I want to join all my colleagues in saying you are a visionary leader. This is a great thing that Parkland is doing. Mr. Roth, thank you for your work on this. Any other Parkland folks who are here, thank you for your work on this.
Yeah, I do want to say, I just, since we're always on that, I want to convolute this thing. This is really about readmissions, correct? This is about being able to get to a problem and manage it before it occurs. And coming off the top of the electronic medical records. And so there again, because hospitals are penalized under the readmissions criteria, Dr. Parnell and I had a good discussion, and he was just ecstatic, having been at Medical City for the last 17 years. He said it was just revolutionary. But apparently we're penalized on readmissions criteria.
That's correct.
Okay, and this will basically manage that whole criteria.
That's exactly right.
We've already seen a 30% improvement.
Already, so.
Thank you, Maurice.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
With your briefing agenda, you still have 2 speakers.
Still have a couple speakers. Let's see. We have Dr., and the rules are still in effect. We have Dr. Lawrence Boyd. Dr. Lawrence Boyd.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Lawrence Boyd. I'm with Concerned Citizens for Safe Mosquito Control. I've got some information for you folks. Give you that.
Sure.
I'm an entomologist. I've spent the past 25 years dealing with blood-sucking arthropods, the maggots, the filth, the feces, and the festering tissue that they live in. So you can imagine this time of year I'm very popular when I talk shop at social functions. The handout that I'm giving you folks is a comparison of West Nile cases between Tarrant and Dallas County. And although Dallas had significantly more cases, if you look at the overall shape of the graph, it's more or less the same. The week ending August 18th, you see the West Nile beginning to crash. The graph was generated by the state. The only doctoring I did to it was I put a dotted line in the Dallas County side indicating when the spraying would begin. Then you saw the weekend ending the 25th that it basically crashes down to 0. The last page is a redrawn figure of life table of the mosquito. Of course, mosquitoes got an egg, larvae, pupa, adult life cycle, and about, depending on who you talk to, 95 to 98% of that life is in the immature form. Most of the mosquitoes are eggs. This Southwood study that I cited had 86% mortality of the mosquito being in the egg or the very first few larval molts. And what was killing all of these larvae and eggs were either starvation or lack of habitat. So if you go and adulticide, you're reducing the number of female mosquitoes, you're reducing the number of eggs that would be laid, but you're also reducing the overpopulation of in the larval habitat. Now, I'm going to continue to be opposed to the aerial spraying for adults until I see scientific evidence that it is effective. However, I need to applaud you folks on, especially Mr. Thompson, on the efforts for the monitoring, the larviciding, and just recently, as he discussed resistance and getting his employees out in the trenches to see where the mosquitoes are living. That is outstanding. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ken Watterson.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
Forgive my slow reading. I had eye surgery I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to come and speak for you this morning. My name is Kim Watterson. I am a Marine Corps veteran who served over 2 years in Vietnam. I am a member of many of the veterans organizations throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area, including 8 years on the National Board of Marine Corps League, serving over 200,000 Marines active and retired, and worked with our homeless here on a daily basis in the Dallas area. I am here for 2 reasons today. One is to talk about and discuss the war in Afghanistan. Our nation had a strategy to end the war in 2014. There are over 100,000 troops there today. We have no strategy at the national level or at the local level. What are we going to do when the 100,000 comes home? We need to be starting now. We have time to put a plan together. We need education, jobs, work on housing, homeless. We have time to work on it. Majority, a lot of these troops are coming back to our area, and we have time to work on it. As you know, homeless is a big problem right now. Our returning veterans right now cannot compete in today's market. I think it's going to be 2 years from now. So we have an opportunity to step up and serve the veterans. In short, we're not ready. The second reason I'm here today is to recognize Ms. Maureen Dickey for her leadership and her service to our veterans and our community. A little over a year ago, Ms. Tracy Little, Director of the Dallas County Veteran Service Officer, came before the court to seek funds to put on a new employee. She had been overrun by phone calls and visits by veterans. She was denied that. Due to the leadership support of Mr. Dickey, the Veterans Dallas County Service Officer, she gave the funds when her staffers in her office to put an employee out in the service office to support our veterans. That's what we call leadership. Gentlemen, in the Marine Corps we call that semper fidelis, always faithful. You know, the Dickey family has done a lot for our community nationally and locally and veterans. Many people don't know it. During Katrina, her family set down hundreds of pounds of barbecue to the people recovering. I'd like to make a presentation to Mr. Dickey this time, a small token for our veterans. This is a photo of the flag raising of Iwo Jima.
Sir, you can come forward. Someone remove that barrier.
This is the flag raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. And this is a print. This is signed by actual people that was on that island. This is very special to the Marine Corps and people that served that. And we appreciate your leadership, Ms. Dickey, and we present that from all veterans of Dallas County.
Kim, thank you so much. I grew up being very patriotic because Daddy founded the Naval Reserve Training Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the only one of its kind in the country to keep reserves trained in the case of war. And we've seen that that has been a very prescient thing. Daddy died in 2000. This means a lot.
deal. On that note, Commissioner, I want to thank you for your work on veteran services. This court unanimously this year added a person, since you'll be leaving, added a person. It happens to be the same person that Commissioner Dickey so graciously sent over in times of budget troubles to supplement our veteran services. You really made it a point at this court and in this county, both not just here, but for instance with our probate courts working to get guardians for veterans, and with Mike Snaps and the Veterans Court, and with our partnership with Meadows Foundation and Nakeem and others. And to use that phrase, it takes a village. He is so right that we are not ready. But I'm proud to say that Dallas County is more ready than every other place in America for this, save two. According to USAA last month, the USAA and another national publication ranked Dallas County as the third best place for reintegration. But this is so important. And as such, it honors your father and it honors all those who've served that we continue to work on this. We've got to keep our eye on the ball. We've got to continue to do everything that we can to make this a better, make it the best place. We don't want to be the third best place in the country for veteran reintegration. We appreciate the service of our veterans to our country. We want to be number one. Now, Washington, D.C., who I think is number one, may have a few competitive advantages when it comes to finding jobs for veterans right now, but we are going to at least, get as close as we can to catch them. So thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Josh. Well, and I know Commissioner Dickey, that was a very, very nice recognition, and I know as an elected official, as a public service, that whenever you give your time, whenever you be part of the life, the public service, it's always an honor to have, the opportunity to do that, bringing people to it. So on behalf of all of us as well, I want to give you a small token of appreciation as well for your time, serving in the Dallas County Commissioner's Court. And it pretty much says, for all the time and all the years
Thank you
that
so
you were
much.
here with us. I appreciate
These past 2 years, I've gotten to know a new county judge and a new commissioner, and it has been such a pleasure to work with them. I have found them, both our county judge and Commissioner Garcia, the new people to the court, to be wonderful to work with. We've done some innovative things together, and we've gotten to be friends and colleagues. So thank you for your kindness. And Commissioner Cantrell, of course, has been my colleague for 8 years, and he's been very kind. He's also taken a member of my staff to work for him, and she is just thrilled because she knows she will continue in the same kind of work that she's enjoyed with me, and I thank you for that as well. Thank you all. Today we're having a celebration for my friends. Ken, I hope you will stop by after at 11 o'clock. And I just thank you all. It has really meant a lot to me to work with all of you. Appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's take a picture. Who's got the
We have
camera?
a camera here? I don't. Chris, we have a
There's
camera.
Mr. Spencer.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay.
They have a camera. It's got isn't there a better camera in my office than one I got? Is it here or is it somewhere else? At one point there was like a night something, not night, but nighttime camera.
That's one here. Small here.
Oh, yeah. Hang on a
That's really wonderful.
Should we lose the baby?
This is beautiful. Treasure this.
I love Baylor.
Oh, your smiles. Okay, thank you all very
This course is now recessed for its closed session authorized by Chapter 521 of the Texas Government Code as previously posted. Any action as a result of the closed session will take place in the subsequent open session. We'll begin our closed session in approximately 1 minute.